Welcome to the NBA Daily Podcast, your home for useless news about the NBA. My name is Dawson Shine, and I'm your host. So, how have these conference finals been for both sides, Eastern and Western? Well, one word, unentertaining. They've not even been close the past couple of games. The only entertaining game so far has been the first game of the OKC Golden State series. The second game, which happened on Wednesday, was an absolute blowout by the Warriors, 118-91 to tie up the series 1-1. They blew them out from the opening tip. They were up 27-20 at the end of the first quarter, and they pushed that lead to 8 at halftime, and then came out in the third quarter and more than doubled the lead, going up by 20 going into the fourth quarter after a 31-19 quarter in the third. It was an incredible effort by the Golden State Warriors to come back from such a crushing first game and just go out there and dominate from start to finish. For the Thunder, it was a pretty tough game for most of the players on the team. I mean, Durant had 29 points on 11 of 18 shooting, which sounds really good, except for the fact that he had 8 turnovers and only 1 assist. That's awful. Westbrook had a pretty good game, at least passing the ball. He had 16 points, 12 assists, only 3 turnovers, but he shot 36% from the field, including 1 for 5 from 3. Deion Waiters was 3 for 11 from the field, and obviously we talked about him last time being very key in the offense, especially trying to score when Russell Westbrook goes to the bench, and he was unable to do so in this game. Also, Enes Kanter was pretty much a non-factor in 15 minutes of play. And Steven Adams had another good game, 9 and 10, but wasn't nearly a dominant force in the defensive end, not recording a single block in this game. Don't even get me started on Serge Ibaka, who was trash on both ends of the court. For the Warriors, however, it was a pretty dominant start-to-finish performance. Stephen Curry, the unanimous MVP, 28 points on 15 shots, which is ridiculous. He only had 3 assists, but he didn't need to distribute the ball too much. The whole team was clicking. 7 players on the Warriors roster scored in double digits. And, on top of that, 12 players out of the 13 players to see the court had points in this game, which shows how deep they were and how much of a blowout this was. Klay Thompson contributed 15 points on pretty poor shooting, 5 of 17, but it really didn't matter. Also, Draymond Green had an almost triple-double, 10 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists. Harrison Barnes had a decent game, 11 points, 6 rebounds. And obviously, Andre Iguodala was pretty key, and Festus Ezeli was pretty key in this game with 14 and 12 respectively. Overall, it was a completely different defensive matchup, and they were dominating, especially when the OKC Thunder tried to switch their big men onto the point guard like Steph Curry. Because in the first game, the Warriors were pretty surprised, especially Steve Kerr, who didn't make really any adjustments the entire first game, when the Thunder actually switched Enes Kanter or Serge Ibaka or even Steven Adams onto Steph Curry on the three-point line and actually let him try and go one-on-one against them. He was unable to do so, and it actually helped the Thunder take advantage of the game. But in this game, the Warriors were ready. They were ready right from the tip, and they took advantage, driving into the paint, scoring really well, and they were able to get everything going wherever they wanted. And that's key in a playoff game, because if you can get to your spots, all you have to do is make the shots you're used to making, which, of course, the Warriors did. But despite the blowout in this game, the Thunder still have the advantage in the series. Obviously, people are looking at this game going, wow, they got blown out by 27 points. How can they have the advantage? But in reality, they went into Golden State where they were expected to win 0 games in Golden State and lose this series, and they stole the first game. That's all they had to do, because now they can win at home in the next 2 games, go up 3-1 with 3 straight chances to try and close the series out, hopefully for the Thunder fans. But on top of that, it takes home court advantage away from the Golden State Warriors, which obviously is a huge component in the series because both teams have great home crowds and they feed off of them. When their teams get going and they get on a big run, you can tell when the crowds start getting involved. Especially in OKC, they love when their team goes on a huge run and someone like Kevin Durant or Russell Westbrook takes over. And that's what we can probably expect to see in Game 3, which will make this a very interesting matchup. Because if the Warriors continue to exploit the pick and roll and actually exploit the matchup disadvantages of the Thunder, they might make this game very difficult on the Thunder's defensive end, and we might have to see Kevin Durant or Russell Westbrook go off on the offensive end to try and hold them in the game. So I cannot wait to watch Game 3, which is happening Sunday night, and it's going to be one of the best games of the season, hopefully, because in OKC, it'll definitely leave us with a close game rather than whatever happened in this one. Oh, And speaking of absolute blowouts that bore your mind to death, how about the Toronto-Cleveland series? Dear God, is that trash. I can barely watch these games from start to finish because of how bad they've been competitive-wise. Honestly, the Raptors have not shown any true fight except for even DeMar DeRozan. That's about it. Everyone else on their roster has not been performing as much as they need to in order to win. And of course, all fingers are pointed at Kyle Lowry, who has been one of the worst All-Star performers in this playoffs. Because, honestly, I haven't seen a worse All-Star performance in the playoffs since Roy Hibbert back in 2013 when he had 0 points, 0 rebounds in consecutive Eastern Conference Finals games. It's pretty ridiculous to watch, to be honest. He also hasn't even been passing the ball as well as he used to. Like in this past game, they lost 108 to 89 to go down 0-2 in the series, with Cleveland basically taking control of the series up 2-0. And that was with a blowout victory, 108 to 89. I mean, that's a 19-point victory, and that's closer than it really should have been. They're lucky it wasn't a 20-point, 30-point blowout at this rate. They were really close in the first half for the first quarter. They were only down by 2 points going into the second quarter, 30 to 28. But then the Cavaliers happened, and it was a 32 to 20 blowout in the second quarter, which pushed the game to a 14-point lead at halftime. Another very uncompetitive halftime score, because it makes it so you have to climb back in this game all the way for the rest of the second half, and it's very difficult for a team to do in consecutive games, and obviously they haven't even come close. And the entire team performed poorly, except for DeMar DeRozan. He's finally shot a decent percentage. He had 18 shots, 8 makes, 22 points, which is pretty good, 5 rebounds. So I just want to give a quick apology. Someone's mowing the lawn, so I can't really give a clear recording. Unfortunately, my mic picks up on everything in the neighborhood. So if you can hear that background noise, I apologize. Just ignore it. Hopefully it won't happen tomorrow when I record. So back to the game. Also, Kyle Lowry, the other all-star in this Trash Brother duo, was awful in this game. 4 for 14, 29% shooting. He had 10 points, 3 assists, 5 turnovers. That's ridiculous. How do you expect that from your top performer and your best player? Because I'm sorry, he's their best player over DeMar DeRozan, especially in the regular season. But in this series, he has combined to average 8 points per game. This is the Eastern Conference Finals. How are you averaging less points than Terrence Ross? It's not even, how do you even do that? It's a joke. It's an absolute joke performance by Kyle Lowry, and he's choking on the biggest stage against a player like Kyrie Irving, who isn't even known for his defense. You're talking about going against a player that's not known for his defense, and yet you're not even getting favorable matchups when you face him. Obviously, Kyrie Irving is not the only primary defender on Kyle Lowry. He is getting different looks, especially from Matthew Dellavedova, who is a defensive stalwart at the point guard position. But there are times when Kyrie Irving has been matched up against Kyle Lowry on both ends of the floor, and Kyrie has destroyed Lowry. That's not okay for Kyle Lowry to accept. He needs to be playing better on both the defensive and offensive ends if he wants to help this team actually steal one game in this series. On top of that, you could tell this was packed in from the start because Coach Dwayne Casey started Louis Scola at the forward position. Louis Scola started in a playoff Eastern Conference Finals game at his age and went 1 for 5 from the field. He had 6 points in 14 minutes and minus 13, one of the worst on the team. The only real player that seemed to have a good spark offensively was Terrence Ross, who had a decent outburst, especially in the second quarter, to hold Toronto close-ish. He was 4 for 10, 2 for 6 from 3, but he had 11 points, and it was only in 16 minutes. I think they really need to give him some more burn, especially just because they need the shooting and the spacing in the series to just try and match up against this Cleveland Cavaliers team, which is clicking on so many cylinders. Speaking of the Cleveland Cavaliers, let's talk about them. LeBron James continues to be hyper-efficient, posting 23 points, 11 assists, 11 rebounds, 3 steals for his first triple-double of the playoffs on only 13 shots. Now, he did shoot worse from the free throw line than he did from the field, 9 for 17 from the free throw line for 53% compared to 54% from the field, but he vowed to make sure that doesn't happen again the next game because obviously you're not going to expect LeBron James, who is known to be at least a 75% free throw shooter, to go 53%. That's pretty awful and almost Dwight Howard-esque. Also, Kevin Love was great, 19 points on 8 shots. That's incredible effort and incredible efficiency. And Kyrie Irving, who has been one of their best playmakers on the offensive end, 12 for 22. He had a couple of nasty Uncle Drew moves against Kyle Lowry and the entire Toronto defense just toying with them in the semi-transition game. He had 26 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, and just playing out of his mind. And then finally, you had J.R. Smith, who played really well, 3 for 5 from 3. He made 4 shots for 12 points. Great game by him. The whole team is just playing out of their mind, and Toronto needs to find offense in order to stay in this. Because the problem is they go on these huge scoring droughts, which give the Cavaliers momentum, especially in the transition game, off of all the misses, especially the long misses due to DeMar DeRozan or Kyle Lowry's threes and long twos. And when they get out and run, LeBron James is unstoppable in transition. J.R. Smith is a monster too, he's so fast. You got Kyrie Irving who can cross up anyone on the court, and it's just a mess to try and defend. And then the defense breaks down, it collapses into the paint to stop the transition breakdown, and you end up with open threes. And the entire Cavaliers roster can shoot at this point. Everyone can basically make a three except for Tristan Thompson. They're playing a very small, very quick shooting lineup, and it's leading to them blowing out their competition for their 10th straight win. I mean, they haven't lost a game in this playoffs for a reason, and you need to mix it up and try and get some offense going in order to beat them. Also, you need to stop fouling. The Toronto Raptors shot a total of 18 free throws to the Cleveland Cavaliers 37. I mean, LeBron James had 17 free throw attempts, which is almost as much as the Toronto team. That's crazy. You need to stop fouling them in order to actually defend, because fouls kill any momentum the team has when they're trying to get a run going. They're great for the team that's already ahead by 14, 15 points, because despite stopping the clock, it also stops any momentum the opposing team might have. And the Toronto Raptors need all the momentum they can get, especially in Game 3 in Toronto. It's going to be one of their best chances to steal a game, because maybe Cleveland rests a little bit. They go a little easier in this. They take their foot off the gas pedal for a Game 3 when you're already up 2-0. And if they can steal this game, they could be right back in this series. Hopefully it'll be more competitive, but at this point, it seems like Cavaliers are going to continue this sweep and get it either a gentleman's sweep, 4-1, or an actual sweep, 4-0, because the Raptors have just not shown any fight. Hopefully they can prove me wrong in the next game, and that's tonight. Unfortunately, I don't believe they will, because they haven't shown anything in the past that says they can actually beat this Cavaliers team when both teams are going at it in the playoffs. But that's all for today, guys. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment, any feedback or any thoughts about the upcoming games, and let me know what you guys think. Thanks for listening. Hope you have a great day.